Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Dethroning Your Inner Critic YouTube channel. Today, I am talking with my brilliant fellow coach, Jaime Myers, and we are having a deep conversation about how you can live your life in flow and experience regular and unexpected miracles and have deeply fulfilling and satisfying experiences of yourself and your life, even when you're facing challenges and even when you have a habit of stress and anxiety. So, this is our conversation. Enjoy. Hey, everyone. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joanna Kleinman. I am a psychotherapist. I am a coach. I am the best-selling author of the book, Dethroning Your Inner Critic, the 4-step journey from self-doubt to self-empowerment. I am the host of the podcast, Dethroning Your Inner Critic. And I am here with my beautiful friend and fellow coach, Jaime Myers. And we are coming on today. I'm going to let Jaime introduce herself in a moment, but we are coming on today because we have been having the most incredible, inspired conversations for the last couple of years, every week, right? And out of our conversations, the two of us have really transformed just in our conversations. And we thought to ourselves, right, we had this conversation, why are we keeping all of this incredible transformation that we're having with the two of us on our weekly conversations? Why are we keeping this to ourselves? Why are we not sharing this with the planet? Because we're both really committed to empowering people to live the most fulfilled, abundant, and inspired lives. And so to keep our conversations private, we felt was, just a waste, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to have this first of many conversations that we're going to air. And Jaime, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. So I'm Jaime Myers. I am a coach. I lead retreats. I'm also an equine coach. So facilitating coaching with the beautiful partners of horses. And what else? I have a business called Shine Life Design, and I provide individual group coaching as well as retreats. Mm-hmm. And I've been, one thing similar about Joanna and I is we've both been in transformational work for nearly 30 years. And a long time, and we've had a very similar journey along the way. Mm-hmm. And so that's a lot of what we share too, is seeing the shifts happening, because we have been in transformational work for so long. Yes. And dedicated for so long to people's empowerment and actually being part of the shift in our culture to people being more aware, more empowered, having more fulfilling lives that feel aligned with who they are. Yep. That for a long time, it felt like, where we're the little organic section in the grocery store that nobody knows about and thinks is really weird. That's right. And then slowly the organic section starts to take over the grocery store until everybody's like, wait, I think we should be eating organic food.
That's right. That's right.
We feel so much better.
Yes.
And so that's kind of like the experience of transformational work over these 30 years, as we have been for so long, sort of the weird, outliers. Like, what are you doing? What is that?
True.
And now, since 2020, there's like this big shift of people like, wait, what is this about again? And really questioning, what is what is my life about? What do I,
Yes.
what's really important to me? And I know this is a longer than an introduction.
Hey, no, this is exactly
I just kind of wanted to
about. Yep.
jump into what we were excited about talking about, because we are noticing that as more and more people come into this place of living empowered, living from their own truth versus a social self, a society's rules. At first, it seems really exciting, and sexy, and like, yeah, I'm gonna live my vision. And then you get out there and it's like, oh, this is kind of scary. This is like unknown. I feel judged by people, or I worry about this, or so there's more unknown factors. And so we are also living that life because we're always pushing to the next boundary for ourselves, right? Like we're always pushing to the next growth place. As soon as we've got something down, it's like we're moving to the next place. Yes. So we're also always living in the next vision. Yes. And so one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is stress and anxiety and fear. Yes. And we talk each other off the ledge
every week. Sometimes multiple times a week.
To keep each other like on the path that we both know that we're committed to.
Yes.
And so we wanted to share some of those insights and tools so that those of you who are continuing on this path for yourself, stay the course with some tools and insights and support, because it can feel, you can feel alone in the process.
Absolutely. And to your point, so many people are quietly to themselves starting to rethink what they really want their life to be, particularly people who are in that sort of second stage of life like we are. Our kids are getting older and we're sort of starting to rethink where we're going. And I know you and I always talk about that there's no way that we could do this without each other, without support. And so there's a lot of people that are going through this quietly and silently and thinking that they're alone, and then too scared to really uncover what's really sort of, lurking in the crevices of their mind, right? And so there's a lot of people that are just operating on top of so much stress and anxiety and worry because they don't want to change, right? It feels so familiar. It feels so, normal to be doing life the same way, but there's that inner knowing that they can't keep operating the way that they're operating.
Right. Yeah. And as we do move into the second stage of life, the culture and society around us is changing. And so it's also easy to start to feel like, wait, I don't fit here the way I used to.
Yes.
And I think this is when people start to feel like irrelevant, or wow, the values are changing, or the way that the things are done are changing. And who am I now? It's like an identity crisis, right? And so if we follow sort of society's rules, it's like, oh, we're out of our prime, right? Yes. But if we follow really the natural course of life and the way that communities used to be together, in tribes, it's like, this is the most beautiful time of our lives, when we've gone through so many trials and tribulations and we actually know who we are and are comfortable in our own skin. And I mean, the irony, right? Because it's like, we look back, like we've talked about this, we look back when we like criticize our bodies, when our bodies were like, so like, I wish I had that body I used to criticize, but now we don't care as much.
Right.
And there's all these changes, and we've gained so much wisdom that we can share and support the younger generations coming in that are now here to to lead the next, what's showing up in our culture. And we can be mentors and supporters and live also what's true to us. Like, what is it that we most want to create in our lives?
Right.
And we have these beautiful opportunities, and then our minds just get in the way. And you talk about the inner critic, I talk about like thoughts that just cause so much stress in our mind that are not true.
Yep. And when you don't know that they're not true, right? They become your identity. They become who you are. And I think when we're navigating that internal dialogue by ourselves, what we try to do is get rid of the internal dialogue or change the internal dialogue. And, one of the things that's been so useful in our conversations is that we both know that internal dialogue isn't going anywhere, right? We just have a lot of tools that we support each other in to not get caught up in our internal dialogue. So, that, right. And so I think we want to share some tools with people, right? Yes. So that you can not only identify what is your internal dialogue, but, how do you stop believing that internal dialogue and allowing what seems like you, but is not really you, but seems like you? How do you allow you not allow your mind to rob you of your life now and what your life could be moving forward?
Right. Yeah. So let's share some of those tools, because these are things that we share with each other week to week.
Yes.
And it's a process of remember, forget. So I think that in itself is helpful, because I think we can beat ourselves up for, why don't I know this? Or why am I back in this place? And it's remember, forget. And that's why support is so important too, so that we can remind each other. Because I think we take turns, right? Like, one week I show up, I'm like, and the next week you show up. And so it's like, we do forget, and we go back to those old patterns.
Yes.
So I can start with some of the tools.
Yes.
One of them is, and we were just talking about this quote, or passing this quote back and forth about, like, if you want to reduce your stress by 99.9%, stop worrying about the things that have not happened yet. Right. And it's like, we're familiar with this, right? But it's really key. And remembering that the mind conjures up imagined danger as a protection mechanism, right? Yes. But if we really realize what we're worrying about, it's like we're imagining danger, we're imagining all these worst case scenarios, and none of that has happened.
Yes.
And so one thing is just being aware, naming it, right? Dr. Siegel has a great expression, name it to tame it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, there's imagined danger.
Yes.
And then bringing ourselves back to this present moment right now.
Yes.
So in this present moment right now, like, one of the things I do is I ask myself, okay, right here in this moment right now, do I have everything I need? Am I okay right now?
Right.
And just bringing ourselves back to the present moment. And what I've found after, that practice for probably 5 years of asking myself that regularly.
Yes.
I've gone through challenges and ups and downs,
sure.
But always the answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
Right now, at this very moment, am I okay? Yes.
Yes.
And that helps calm the nervous system.
For sure. So it is that we don't recognize that we've got these attachments to what we think we need in order to feel okay, right? So, and you and I talk a lot about our business, right? And we talk about that our minds go to the worst case scenarios, and our minds also go to attachments to the way it's supposed to be, the way it should be, the way it's supposed to look, right? Which the more we let go of those internal ideal pictures of the way things are supposed to be, and we just really lean into, to your point, what does it look like now? What can we feel good about now? What can we be grateful for now? What are the things in so many areas of our lives, our business, our relationships, our children? What are the areas of our lives that we've tried to inflict so much control over?
Right.
And the more that we recognize what an illusion it is to think that we actually have control over these things, we release, right? And it's slowly releasing, right? Not an overnight thing, but you and I have been practicing releasing control for a long time.
Yes.
And I think what starts to show up is that our lives not only feel more peaceful, but we're able to stay in flow.
Yes.
And I think that when we're able to stay in flow and in peace, we have more of an ability to trust that we don't have to script it and control it so much, that we can let life show up in whatever way it's going to show up. We can play our part by taking an action, but it's going to show up the way that it's going to show up, and we'll be okay.
Yes. And the way that it ends up unfolding when we let it go and be what it wants to be is almost always better.
Yes.
Than what the mind was deciding was the best way.
That's right.
And I think that from our own experience and sharing our experiences, the evidence of that, of like, okay, what does this want to be? We have to do our part, right? We have our intention, and then we take aligned action, and then let it go and let it be what it wants to be.
Yes.
And if it's not going the way we want it to go, rather than stressing and trying to control it and forcing it to be that, letting it be what it is. And it's like it expands into something we could never, ever have thought of.
For sure.
I mean, just with us, like our connections and us both having, we both are having retreats in Costa Rica coming up, and the connection, we won't go into that whole story, but how that came about was from us trusting the connections, and then that presented itself to us.
That's right.
So it's, and I felt for those who have children are our best. I think our own business and children are some of our best teachers, and marriage are the best teachers. And we're doing all three at one time. So we signed up for the
triple package,
the massive butt kicking. It's teenagers true. And marriage and our own business all at the same time.
Yes.
But children teach us to let go of control, and our own business teaches us to let go of control. Yes.
And the beautiful thing is that we have actually both witnessed changes in all three of those areas.
Yes.
The more that we just keep supporting each other in letting go. And we've also shared stories with each other where there have been times where we have not let go.
Right.
And we did something, let's say business-wise, right? Where our intuition was saying, and we're like, oh, it'll be fine, right? And then we do it. And then we have conversations about it where, I made that decision out of fear and scarcity. I did not make that decision from aligned trust and surrender and letting go and really just trusting my inner knowing.
Yes.
And even those, we could call them mistakes, but they're not mistakes, Because even the times where we do make choices and decisions out of fear and stress and worry, that teaches us something.
Yes.
Right. And so I look back on even 6 months ago, a year ago, who you and I both were.
Mm-hmm.
In a short 6 months ago or a year ago. We're even different now. But
Yes.
right, it's because we're using everything that shows up as the opportunity to learn about parts of ourselves.
Right. Yeah, it's all, Ram Dass has a great expression, it's all grist for the mill. Right. And I think that is one of the tools for reducing stress and anxiety, is having the perspective shift from I have to be perfect, I can't make mistakes, to everything is grist for the mill. Like everything is a learning opportunity. We all make mistakes. We all go back to old patterns, and then and then the game is like acknowledging it. Like we just move through it quicker now, right? We can acknowledge it, learn from it, grow from it, and move on and be responsible for it, right? And that is the biggest shift, because then you're not afraid of taking a step forward. You're not afraid of trying something new. It's almost like exciting, like, oh, what am I gonna, I've started to even look forward to in some ways, like mistakes, because it's like, oh, there's those opportunities to learn and uncover the next pattern or the next place to grow, the next place to become and expand and share. So I think so often we get caught up in being perfect, right? And then, but our mistakes can be our best lessons and the best things that we share with other people.
Absolutely. And I think that we also recognize that as much as we would love there to be an arrival point where we've got it all handled and we don't have any more fear and stress and doubt and worry, that it's always going to be there.
Right.
So I think the other thing that I think we have learned together, that maybe we've taught each other, is to just welcome parts of the fear and the doubt and the worry, right? We right, and we bring it to each other and we laugh about it. Oh, there I go again. I'm caught. I'm right. I say I'm in my habitual inner critic mind. That's the language I use. But it's that's all it is.
Right.
It's just our old habits that we know are no longer serving us, and they're going to just keep showing up.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the things too, that we've talked about, and a tool I wanted to share is about creating an ecosystem of peace. Because one of the tools or something that really makes a difference around the anxiety and stress and keeping us on this path is returning to stillness.
Yes.
Because when we're in stillness, we can actually access our own truth. We can listen to the inner guidance. We can hear those little inklings. We can listen to our body hesitating or our body lunging forward with a yes, right? Yes. But when we're so busy and we're so caught up in stress, we just can't even hear it. So we step over it and then find ourselves later going, oh, wait, I think I kind of down in there felt a little hesitation.
Yes.
So when we feel anxiety and stress, rather than going to try to control it or figure it out or react, taking a moment to get still. And that can be just a breath in the moment. That can be stepping outside. I mean, how often have we had an argument or like something that's upsetting, and then we take a walk around the block and come back and there's clarity, right? And usually like, I'm sorry. Here's my part. Right? So it's like, if we can take a moment rather than reacting to calm ourselves down, take a breath, access stillness, the answer is there, and bring it way back from, I have to handle this huge situation, to what is the next small doable step that I can take in the direction of the result I want from that place of stillness. And if we know that we tend to be anxious or we're in an anxious situation, what are the things that we can do throughout the day that give us peace? Like a morning ritual of journaling, going outside in the middle of the afternoon for some deep breaths, getting enough sleep, eating food that feels good in our body and doesn't make us, like sugar makes me like just so much more stressed out. Yes. So how can we take care of ourselves so we actually create an environment of peace around us to deal with stressful situations?
Yes. And sometimes for me, all I have time for is to walk my dog around the block and just look up at the sky and just, get some clarity from the sky. I mean, it doesn't have to, now I also love meditation, but sometimes I just have time for the, 5-minute dog walk or something.
Right.
Like that,
or like a quick dance break. It's like sometimes we think, okay, I don't have time for that right now, for that 5 minutes because I have to. But if we take a 5-minute dance break or that 5-minute walk with the dog,
yes,
we are so much more effective in everything that comes after that.
So true.
So it's worth it to take that 5 minutes, a 5-minute dance break, a 5-minute walk does wonders. The quick text to a friend saying, help.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's what we do. That's who we are for each other, for sure.
Right.
So, well, this has been wonderful. You and I could talk, right? Yeah. We do talk for hours.
We do.
So we will continue to be having more of these conversations. And I do want to tell everybody about our retreats. We're both leading retreats in Costa Rica, both of us at the magnificent Imaloa Institute, right? That was named the best retreat center by whom I can't remember.
It was best. Yeah, it was a publication. They named it the best small retreat center in the world.
Yes.
And we both led retreats there before.
Yes.
And so we can attest to, I haven't been to every small retreat center, but I've been doing, leading retreats for 10 years. And I can say, as I'm sure you would too, that it is a really incredible experience and they take care of you and everything like I have never experienced at a retreat center, whether it's leading one or participating in one. Yep. It's a very special experience. And we both are leading retreats that are all about living your most fulfilled, inspired life and really creating it from your own self-expression.
That's right. And I think that I had my retreat last year. You had yours last year. And so there certainly is something about the Costa Rican rainforest that just takes this experience to even a whole different level, right? The place is amazing. The staff is amazing. The food is amazing, but the rainforest is indescribable, right?
Yeah. It's like the healing jungles, the nature.
It really
nature is. There is amazing and deeply transformational.
For sure. So my retreat is May 17th to the 22nd of 2023.
And when is June 21st through the 25th of 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want information about me, about my retreat, you can go to my website, which is dethroningyourinnercritic.com.
And mine is shinelifedesign.com. And we can put it in the notes with our post about this too. Yeah.
For sure.
And then we were going to talk about, when we come on next, we're going to talk about valuing ourselves.
Yes.
Right. And the journey of that.
That is a juicy conversation, and that might require more than just
right.
one episode.
We'll get started.
That's right. Okay, everybody. Thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, it was great. And I feel like I want to leave people with something. I think just maybe just a final comment is to trust yourself and to trust yourself. Like if a question comes up, well, how do I do that? Take a moment, get still, and really ask yourself what feels true to me in this moment, and pay attention to how your body responds or whatever that intuitive guidance is. And I guess I would just want to leave people with that, because we can feel so much pressure from the outer world or outer authorities. And really, it starts with our own sovereignty, our own personal empowerment of what is true for me, what works for me, what's the life I want to create.
That's beautiful, because I remember you taught me that your body tells you what's right within 10 seconds,
Yes. And nanosecond. Nanosecond.
And we try to figure it out in our, with our minds, which is the worst way to try and figure something out.
Right. Stop trying to figure things out.
Right.
It's like check in with the body, notice if there's a hesitation, a leaning back, the human pendulum, right? The leaning forward, the leaning back, that little discomfort.
Yeah.
And then use our brilliant mind to follow what our body is telling us, what our intuitive knowing is telling us.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And it's so much easier.
Yeah, no, it's true, right? Yeah, know the answer immediately.
Okay.
Right. This was wonderful.
Yeah.
Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Joanna.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.